Hey guys, what's up? And welcome back to another episode of Crypto Scoop FM. Today I'm bringing you three subnet alpha tokens that you cannot miss. Trust me, guys, these are AI gems that are going to be millions of dollars worth of companies in the coming times. Let's get going. All right, guys, off the rack. This has been an interesting couple of days for the Bittensor ecosystem. As you know, so far we have covered 11 different AI subnet alpha tokens. And so I wanted to make a change to our show today. And instead of just starting with the TAO chart and how it is looking, which we will cover in a moment, I wanted to talk briefly about how this investment would have performed. Because if we were together running an index fund investing into TAO tokens, and if that index included all of these tokens, what would have happened? So, of course, the last couple of days haven't been quite exciting for the Bittensor Alpha trenches. Honestly, I should not use the word trenches because trenches kind of represent this degenerate Solana based meme community, and that's not what we have on Bittensor. On Bittensor, we have real AI companies, real people building real products. But nonetheless, we would still be positive by 143%, guys. On this index, we would have achieved a net total return of 143% adjusting for all of our losses. Because there are two projects which are pretty much standing out here in this past week. Aya has given a return of 54.55%. When I made the first recording and pitched this project, it was trading at about $2.42, and today it is trading at $3.74. So clearly that's a 55% upside, guys, in like what, 12 days, a week? And look at BitAds was on the 6th of June. Again, in a week's time, less than a week, we would have more than doubled our money at 152%, right? Almost 2.5x. So this is an indication of that alpha tokens are extremely volatile, which is something that we should expect from an ecosystem which is still early, which is still kind of trying to find its feet. Because Dynamic TAO is just 3.5 month old, guys, and we're still trying to figure out the equilibrium between alpha tokens and TAO tokens. People are still trying to understand how to navigate their capital and stake into these subnet tokens. So we're going to see that. But this is great, guys. 143% in like a week is like returns to die for. Anywho, let's jump to today's episode. First, look at the TAO chart. After this week was kind of interesting, let me just broaden it for you. As you can see, there is an accumulation phase going on for TAO clearly, right? So, all the way from this point to this point, we're seeing the price kind of, not going beyond this trail, which is kind of interesting because this gives us a nice, at 343, it gives us nice range from where the TAO token is bouncing back. And accumulation is good, guys. Accumulation is always good because people are buying. There is price discovery happening at this range. And I still think like at this point, it's still extremely safe play to invest in TAO. In any case, guys, I mean, my long-term bet for TAO is that it's going to be the next. It's the Bitcoin for AI, guys. Imagine 21 million fixed supply, completely protocol led. There is no pre-mine, there is no VC crap and all of those things. It's just purely running as a project where incentives are inherently built into the network itself. So this is quite cool, guys. I think the chart looks fairly well. We're still probably going to go through this accumulation phase unless we see something major changing on the top three coins, which is Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, the XRP, the likes of those. And we've seen, because of these negative news announcements coming from the whole Israel-Gaza nuclear war thingy, and other negative news around the debt ceiling and the US government shutdown, there's probably some selling, but it's not that crazy because I think last I saw Bitcoin is still trading at about 108k, which is pretty solid. Another good indicator is the rest of the markets. I mean, you can see the S&P 500 is up about 20.29%. So is Nasdaq. So is Dow Jones. So clearly, the American markets are still in the green. The stocks are doing well, and there is this pullback in the crypto markets, which means the crypto investors are not actually behaving the way that institutions are behaving. They are not panicking, guys. And there is a lesson because these guys are managing trillions of dollars in assets. And so if you see crypto guys panicking, don't worry. I think every panic is an opportunity for you to get in early. I would still continue to buy at 398. I am holding all of my TAO. I'm not selling. I'm not selling any time before this thing reaches $10,000. Let me say it straight. Right? Okay, so TAO looking good. Our portfolio looking absolutely formidable at 143%. So what's new? What's happening? If you look at the overall, climate across these alpha tokens, it's very clear that after kind of dipping to in the fear trenches, we bounced back again over the last couple of days. Almost reaching the neutral stage before we've kind of dipped again into the fear, into the fear mode, which is fine because that's how crypto markets and crypto investors usually behave. I do feel this is an overblown thing. There is definitely a cool off that's going to happen, and once this cool off happens, we'll see the fear returning back to neutral and then eventually to greed, because that's how human emotions are and that's how market works. The way I look at this chart is anywhere below 25, like when it touches these ranges like 25, maybe 30, 35, this is good indicator that now is our opportunities for you to buy many of these high quality top notch projects in the subnet alpha token space at a bargain, guys. So keep an eye on the fear and greed index, and over time you will find opportunities to both get in and get out. Okay, that about some interesting news stories came out from the TAO ecosystem, and I want to quickly cover them. The first one is from Yuma Group. If you remember, guys, I covered the Yuma Group in my previous video. Yuma Group is owned and controlled by Barry Silbert, who's the founder and CEO of Digital Currency Group. He's a crypto billionaire, one of the biggest, oldest names in the space, and played a pivotal role in building the foundational infrastructure to help the adoption of Bitcoin by institutions. There was a recent, there was a recent AI conference called Proof of Talk that was happening in Paris this past week, and he made some incredible announcements about Bittensor from the podium this past week. He spoke about how Bittensor is going to be Bittensor is the Bitcoin of AI. How he's doing the exact same work that he did in the last 6, 7, 8, 10 years for Bitcoin, building the foundational infrastructure, supporting subnet teams, incubating them, accelerating them, investing in these subnets, and building products and services that would allow institutions to start participating in the TAO ecosystem. Now, in this announcement extends and shows that it wasn't just stock. He's actually walking his stock, because Copper, which is an institutional, custody, prime services, and collateral management company for digital assets, has partnered with Yuma Group to offer institutional clients, guys, underline this, institutional clients, access to Bittensor and the ability to stake TAO directly on Copper's platform. Guys, this to me is an incredible news. It's a big announcement because we've already seen a couple of corporate treasuries starting to allocate capital to buy TAO and stake TAO. This for me is ground zero for for American institutional investors, American corporations starting to look at TAO as a serious player in the AI economy, right? Moving on, a couple of other major milestones came up across a bunch of these subnets, something that you should think about when you're evaluating Bittensor ecosystem as a whole. Subnet 64, Metanova Labs, which is working on building an AI model for drug discovery, protein folding, that kind of stuff, recently hit the 2 million molecule milestone. I think this is a major milestone. Massify solved and implemented a fair minor work distribution. And Macrocosmos, which is apart from Rayon Labs, one of the bigger companies working in the Bittensor subnet ecosystem, their subnet 9, which is called IOTA, has started training a 15 billion parameter AI model, guys. This to me shows the opportunity of what Bittensor's distributed incentives are capable of. Today we are doing a 15 billion parameter model. Tomorrow we'll do a 100 billion parameter model. Then we'll do a trillion parameter model, guys. And we're going to do it at a fraction of a cost that OpenAI does. Imagine what will happen to OpenAI. OpenAI today is valued at $300 billion. So we're going to see that equilibrium. We're going to see OpenAI maybe lose its value. Or if it doesn't, we're definitely that's the comparison for us, guys. $300 billion is what SoftBank valued OpenAI in the last fundraise when they invested $40 billion in the company. TAO Bittensor is valued at 8 billion fully diluted FDV. Guys, imagine the gap. That's the fundamental alpha play, guys. But we need proof of work, right? We need to see that the Bittensor ecosystem works. We need to see that it is capable of building decentralized AGI, decentralized artificial general intelligence. That's the game, guys. That's the game. In another news, an interesting product was launched in the last couple of days by this company operating in the Bittensor ecosystem by Crucible Labs. And by the way, guys, one of the two co-founders of Bittensor is actually involved in this company. And they have built a new wallet for the Bittensor ecosystem. So you ask, why are you covering a wallet? Give me alpha. It's important for you to know because this wallet allows you to automatically stake all of the earnings that you're making by staking your TAO in the root subnet, by distributing it to the top 20 alpha tokens automatically, and then earning rewards and compounding it. So I think it's an incredible product, guys. I'll do a deep review over the weekend for this product. I've already installed it. My TAO is now staked there and automatically staked across all the subnets. So kudos, Crucible Labs. Great job, team. Next one comes next again. This was quite interesting to me and I can resonate with it. Guys, over the last 1 year working at Polygon Labs, I've pretty much traveled the world for conferences all the way from Southeast Asia, Singapore, Thailand, Indonesia, all the way to, Europe, Western Europe, Netherlands, Switzerland, you name it. And then also to Americas, North America, Denver, and SF. And all over the world that I've traveled, this has been a consistent theme that I've noticed, that crypto companies spend millions of dollars trying to take a huge space to manage their to pump up a conference, only to have 20 people attend it. So this tweet was great because he said the venue for the proof of talk conference was alternating between Bittensor and crypto panels. And so we saw packed houses during Bittensor, every talk for Bittensor, and the crowd immediately emptied when crypto panels began. Guys, this is a signal. This is a strong signal. And this was also confirmed by JJ. JJ, as you know, is running the TAO hash subnet and is also the founder of Latent Holdings, a big player in the Bittensor ecosystem. And this is telling because it clearly shows that the market, that the participants, that the stakeholders see Bittensor not as a crypto company. They see Bittensor as an AI company. The more people start seeing Bittensor as an AI company, it changes the game because they will not compare Bittensor to an Ethereum. They will not compare Bittensor to a Solana. They're going to compare Bittensor to OpenAI. They are going to compare Bittensor to XAI. They are going to compare Bittensor to Anthropic. That to me is a huge news, guys. Huge news. Because the more it happens, the more you will see that value play changing. The more you will see global talent coming up, being more and more interested about Bittensor. So don't take these little things, these little points is what tells us why Bittensor is beautiful, why it is not, why it should not be clubbed into the rest of crypto, guys. It is not a crypto project. It's an AI project. Next was a big news that was announced from the podium at Proof of Talk. So Const, who is the founder, who's one of the co-founders of Bittensor, he announced a very interesting subnet. It's called, it's subnet 120. So don't go out there searching just yet. It's not yet registered. I think he made a live announcement from the podium. And so a fine, which is subnet 120, will act as an orchestration layer which will combine and connect different Bittensor subnets. Like think of these different Bittensor subnets as, Lego blocks. So a fine, which is subnet 120, will essentially, combine these Lego blocks to create something new. And guys, this to me is game changing because if you think about it, crypto in general, the foundations of crypto is programmable money. What does that mean? It means you can create Legos of one kind of money kind of going into another kind of money and creating a new kind of application. That's exactly what decentralized finance is, where I can connect Aave to Uniswap and create a new protocol, right? So you're able to double down on your yields. This is exactly what we'll be able to do. We'll be able to double down and compound intelligence. So a fine subnet 120, it essentially uses three different subnets, which is subnet 51, Celium, which is which is building decentralized compute, subnet 56, Gradients, which by the way is run by Rayon Labs again, to train AI models, and Shoots to serve or run inference on these AI models, guys, right? So they're combining all three together to create a new subnet, and they will be able to direct miner behavior, like train them what they need to create, enable composability between subnets, guys, like underline composability. Composability is the foundations of crypto. The more composable your application will be, the higher your value will be, because there's going to be network effects to what you're building. And do not undermine composability. We've already seen, like, the more I think about crypto and my last 4 years in this space, there's only one segment that I think has truly outperformed. There's only one which has truly shown that, hey, this is something that we're doing and it works, and that's DeFi, guys. The total market cap of DeFi is close to $100 billion right now. Actually, $90 billion to be precise. But that's huge because it is indicator of a solid product market fit. And I think with this direction, it's going to completely change the way we will think about Bittensor subnets. Instead of looking at each subnet as a silo, we're gonna look at each subnet as these, composable AI applications, AI models, AI protocols that I can combine, mix and match to create and imagine new services. So tomorrow, subnet 44 Score Vision, which is working on a computer vision model, can work with subnet 64 Shoots to deliver their models over their serverless compute. That will drive greater coordination, more value accrual, better emissions and incentives, and will drive adoption and growth for the entire ecosystem. So excellent announcement, guys, and I'm so bullish, and I'm so looking forward to seeing subnet 120 a fine in action. Well, as always, with every growing ecosystem, of course, there are areas that we can improve. I love Alex. I think he's one of the he's a great TAO evangelist, but he makes a fair point here where he says that what I dislike most about dynamic TAO is the root proportion. Every Bittensor subnet above 64 I try to avoid because they all have a higher root proportion. Nothing worse than buying an asset only to feed the lazy cats on root. If I were, if it were me, I will drop the root power gradually for all subnets, even above 64 at the same time. It fucking sucks. And to be honest, the root proportion altogether is ridiculous after all this time. It should go away at least before the end of the bull run so we can cash out and leave TAO. So, so he's kind of this, he's a character, right? So although he's asking you to leave TAO, if you go read about him, it's kind of, he kind of goes back and forth between his feelings about TAO. But I do think the fundamental point that he's making that, hey, I'm using my TAO and staking it in X subnet only to see the root subnet receiving maximum amount of emissions and, which kind of reduces my tau, which reduces the value of my alpha token or in turn my tau value. So yes, I think I'm not that concerned about this right now. My feeling is as we see more institutional players coming in, as Yuma already has, we're going to see capital kind of going out, and as more capital is staked, we will start to see dynamic tau in its full glory. We will start to see equilibrium in these prices. I don't imagine a future where I'm looking at these subnets like some kind of meme trenches. They are not that. They are going to be proper companies, and so while there will still be volatility because we do see volatility in stocks, but that volatility is not then going to be that crazy, and so emissions will basically even out over the long tail, and this problem will be solved. But I thought it's worth discussing with you guys. Finally, I know A16Z, one of the biggest investors in the world, investing in cutting edge technology, they published, they recently published their, a report on decentralized artificial intelligence. Now, full disclosure, I'm yet to read the full report, but I will, and I'm going to make sure I share the top takeaways with you guys in one of the upcoming videos. But they made a beautiful point about AI companions, which will be owned and controlled by humans. I think when I think about Bittensor and when I think about the foundations of AI, the holy grail is when you have a companion, and that companion is completely private. It's completely localized. It's running on your machine. It is not sending information anywhere unless you want it to, and it's just like it's just like your best friend. He's with you all the time. You trust him, and there is this relationship between you. But in this case, you actually own it. You own and control it, what it's happening, what it is doing underlying. And so I think this is important for you to know because BitTensor is primed to create AI companions which will be owned and controlled by humans, guys. So I wanted to bring up this is an opportunity that A16Z, one of the largest global startup investors in the world, think is important, and I think this fits really well with the whole BitTensor narrative. Now, before jumping into our three subnet gems that I know you don't want to miss, I think this is a great stomping ground. This will just help us put those subnets into context and understand what the larger opportunity is. 0x Jeff, DeFi Jeff is one of my favorite AI KOLs. Publishes great research, guys, and I highly recommend you follow him. But he recently published this tweet. I think it was just earlier today, if I'm not. Yes, it was earlier today, and he said that there are 50 plus Web2 AI startups. Apologies. There are 50 plus Web2 AI startups already hitting 5 million plus ARR, guys. ARR is annual recurring revenue. And they say some of the top ones is Midjourney making 300 million a year. Cursor making 200 million a year. Clio making 150. Runway making 120. Harvey making 75. And he says in Web3, there are only a handful of projects. Right? There's Aethel, which is generating 141. There's Grass generating between 20 and 80. There's Virtuals, which is so far generated 58 million. There's Akash generating like a paltry 5 million. With DEAI on-chain AI adoption heating up among builders and users, will more Web3 AI projects cross the 5 million line soon? I'd say highly likely. And I agree with him. I think, especially in the Bittensor ecosystem, many of these companies are building real products. They're selling it to real companies, and they've already started making money. Like Rayon Labs is already a great example of this. But that's not going to be the only one. Like all of these companies are building real AI products, just like these Web2 companies are, and they will be able to match penny to penny, bit to bit, bandwidth to bandwidth, latency to latency, the capabilities of the centralized AI models. And when that happens, it's not going to be far before we will start to see some of these Bittensor subnet alpha tokens making these kind of crazy revenues. So keep this in mind as you think about the whole Bittensor ecosystem, many of these subnets, the alpha tokens. I know it's easy in crypto to kind of jump around, but this is the deal, guys. This is the deal. Now comes the exciting part, right? So, three subnet alpha gems that I think are going to do incredibly well, maybe over the short time period, but definitely worth, and also the long time period, but it's definitely worth keeping an eye on, and at least put them on your watch list, guys. Right. So the first one that I want to cover is actually, is subnet 10. Right. So what is subnet 10? Subnet 10 is called sturdy, and here's how I want you to think about it. Right. Like imagine if there was this AI, and there are actually hundreds of AI. I'm giving each of these AIs, $100, right? And I tell them, go out there, go to the markets, and make money, right? So they go out there, they try to do whatever they can to make money. They go into the market. Some of them go into the stock market. Some go into the bond market. Some go into the, the crypto markets, and all of them come back to me after a week, and I ask each one of them, how much money did you make out of the $100? One AI tells me $20. Another says $5. Another says $250. A fourth says I lost all my money. So I'm going to repeat this process again and again and again. And over a certain time period, I'm going to start seeing certain patterns. Right? Okay, these AI models or these AI agents are consistently outperforming the average, or are delivering me some kind of returns, which is great. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use those agents. I'm going to use the strategies that they have, created, and I'm going to sell those strategies. I'm going to sell those strategies to institutions. I'm going to sell those strategies to humans. I'm going to sell those AI strategies to DeFi protocols, and they will be able to generate more yield and make more money. That's exactly what Sturdy is, guys. So Sturdy essentially is a yield optimization AI network. It lets miners, right, to compete and create the best investment strategies for crypto assets across real DeFi protocols, right? And these aren't just simulations. Like validators on the subnet, they score these AI agents, these AI bots, based on the real world yield they generate, and the best bots get rewarded, right? Their output is then used to move real money in decentralized finance or DeFi, and uh, you know, and used by investors to make money. So I think this is an excellent product. I don't know if I spoke briefly about Giza Tech in one of my previous videos, but Giza is doing something similar. It's a product which is already managing almost $90 million of assets, is managed by the Giza Arma agent, which is built on which is currently running on the base ecosystem, the base blockchain. And they're already generating more returns than any human ever could in DeFi. Because the problem with DeFi is there's just so many different protocols. There's just so many different chains. It's impossible for a human, even spending like 24 hours looking at 24 different screens, trying to figure out, okay, how do I move my money from this protocol to that protocol to that protocol to that protocol? It's crazy, guys. So I think it's great that these kind of products are coming out. Giza, by the way, is doing incredibly well. You should check out their token. And I think Sturdy, by building something like that, is essentially decentralizing the whole Giza pool. Right, we'll be able to create millions and millions of agents. These agents would be able to interact with each other, and the future of DeFi is not human. It's going to be agentic, and Sturdy is going to be the foundations of it. So keep an eye on Sturdy subnet, guys. I think it's currently trading at about 92 cents with an FTV of 20 billion. I think highly undervalued. If you look at its chart, from its top, which was right here, where almost 40% down, so clearly an opportunity to hold back and go back and make a nice 70-80% return. I think in the long term, though, this could be worth much more. It's currently valued at 19 million, and if I quickly look at how much Giza is trading at right now, so if you look at Giza, it's currently trading at an FTV of, guys, 262 million. And that's the opportunity, guys. If you are a diamond hander, if you can diamond hand some of these subnets, it can actually make you like incredibly rich. Yeah. All right. So what's next? What's the next subnet, guys? I'm a big fan of the subnet. Just full disclosure. So the next subnet that I'm going to talk about is subnet 44, Score Vision, right? And what is Score Vision? And why do I think it has captured my attention? So Score Vision is building a decentralized computer vision algorithm or a computer vision model. What is this computer vision model doing, and why is it interesting? So the starting point of this computer vision model is the global soccer market, right? So what happens today is, when these football games are happening, when they are playing, you actually have a football data market, right? Which is essentially leveraged by the coaches, the support staff, in order to real time see what's happening on the ground and make decisions. Then you also have all of this data that is happening. You have the players, you have events in the matches like goals or penalties or red cards, yellow cards, which in real time have an impact on what the result of the game will be. And so all of these different events are used by betting companies to bet on the outcome of the game. Not just the outcome of the game, but outcome of events as well. Like, what's the probability of Cristiano Ronaldo getting a red card, in the next 20 minutes? That could be something that they are betting on. So what Score Vision is doing is, it is creating a product for the $30 billion soccer data market. The computer vision is looking at hours and hours of video content. Like, let me show you. So they're looking at hours and hours of all of this football content, and they are trying to track objects and identify what's happening in the game. So they are identifying the ball, identifying the different teams, identifying the player, the referee, the goal. Everything is being identified, and this identification is then being tagged and labeled, and we're creating these like databases which are incredibly useful for football analytics companies, for clubs, and for many different people. Now, what's the other big utility for something like this, right? The other big utility for something like this is that you can now you now also have the capability to tap into the betting market, because you can actually create prediction models based on historically how games have been played out, to now the AI to start reason and predict, because AI is great. It's a prediction tool. It is a statistical prediction tool which can self-learn and make a prediction. So there is a huge opportunity to create a product which offers these prediction insights to sports betting companies, who can then use that to further increase the retention of the gamblers, or the folks who are participating on those betting sites. Now in that context, if you look at this announcement, I think it was game changing. So, and this also came from Proof of Talk, where Max, who is the co-founder and CEO of Score, made this announcement that deking. And for those of you who are unaware of what deking is a sports prediction agent built using this subnet 44, using the computer vision model behind subnet 44, and it is using those insights to make sports predictions and invest capital on an investor's behalf. So it's going to be an autonomous, better. It will use all of this computer vision data and then bet on sports matches and make money for you autonomously. And so they announced at Proof of Talk a partnership with one of the world's largest sports betting hedge funds to deploy $300 million in assets, guys. Underline this, $300 million, using DKing's Def AI strategies in the 25-26 season. So guys, I think this is a huge announcement. I think it's momentous both for Bittensor and also for Score. So now you can understand that it's not just vaporware. These are real companies who are building real products and services for real customers. And this market is worth billions of dollars, guys. Right? The chart looks kind of interesting. I think at its peak, it was almost. Let me actually make this a 4-hour chart so we can have some space. So as we can see, there has been a bunch of different, variation, but I think it's kind of in this broad accumulation zone right now between 0.04 and 0.02. It's currently trading at 0.03. I think, guys, it's a no-brainer. With an FDP of 260 million for a computer vision company, guys, trading at 16 million is almost nothing. So keep an eye on this one. I think it could easily be a multi-billion-dollar company if they play their cards well, if they are able to build a computer vision model which is not only competitive but 10 to 100x better than anything that a centralized AI company can offer. If we compare at the current prices and go all the way to the last cycle peak, we're looking at a 68 to 70% upside. I think it's an incredibly good time to enter subnet 44 Score. Okay, which is the last one? The last one is actually pretty cool. It's called Alpha Token Exchange. So if I go to Alpha Trader Exchange. So what is Alpha Trader Exchange and why is it interesting? Now, Alpha Trader Exchange has only one goal, and its goal is to drive. Its goal is to drive liquidity in the Bittensor subnet Alpha token markets. And how is it doing that? It is doing that by inviting traders to to trade these alpha tokens, and the more recent your trades are and the better your trades are, right, the more money you're able to make. They basically rank all of these different traders based on what their return was, and the ones who get the highest return and who made the most in their most recent trades, they get a higher allocation of TAO rewards. Now, what will this do? Why I think this is interesting? One, there is no setup required. Like, unlike other subnets that we've seen, you need complex hardware or software knowledge in order to participate. In this case, you don't really need anything, right? You just need to be good at trading, and you need a computer, and you're ready, right? It gamifies the growth of volume and liquidity on the Bittensor ecosystem, because now I am incentivized to come in and put my money into the ecosystem, help it grow. At the same time, I'm receiving incentives to trade, right? Which is kind of cool. And finally, it has this built-in demand flywheel, because more traders would lead to more liquidity would lead to better price discovery will lead to more trading, and more trading will lead to more participation and more TAOs. So it's kind of really cool. I think this is I don't know if this is a long term project, but for now I think, because Bittensor is still trying to gather its feet, still trying to get some kind of feet in the market for people to know what they're doing, why they're doing it. I think a subnet like Alpha Trader Exchange, the short term, could perform incredibly well. So let's look at the Alpha Trader chart. It's doing incredibly well right now. I think if we go back, it's down quite a bit, but there is a strong potential to kind of go up again. So yeah, keep this on your watch list. I don't know what the future is for Alpha Trader Exchange, but at this point in time, at least for the next year and a half, until we see institutional rails coming in, until we see those things kind of panning out, competitions like this would be extremely healthy to grow the liquidity. And growing the liquidity is foundationally the most important thing that we can do to grow the Bittensor ecosystem.